Welcome to Victoria Knits. I'm Victoria. I might not be able to wear my glasses much of the time right now. They're fogging over. It is such a nice day out today. The sun's out. We haven't seen the sun in quite a while, and it's just gorgeous. You can see our field behind us. I've walked out here from the house in about, the snow is about up to my knees. So it was a hard hike out, and now my glasses are steaming over from that, and I guess from the sun being on them. I'm going to put at the bottom of the screen all the info where you can find me on social media in case you don't know or care to look. The one thing I wanted to show right away is the BFF cowl that Patty at 4 Boys and an ML Girl and I finished. It turned out really nicely. Patty sent the blue part, I did the red, and then I kitchenered hers together with mine, and they're linked now. I like the cowl. It's really nice. I like something that makes me think about Patty. I think that's really sweet. Not that I don't think about her a lot as it is. I also wanted to show another hat. I did another one of the tubular hats, tubular hat pattern by my friend Wendy at Baba Yaya. And this is it. I made this one for myself. I really like it. It is not necessary to wear this today either. It's 1 p.m. and it's 37 degrees out. It is quite warm here for Montana. This one turns inside out also, and it fits. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I have worn it already. Something that seems popular in Montana, we have noticed this year, is when people have parties, they actually hold parties outside in the winter. Yeah, you heard me right. The other night it was about 12 degrees out, and we had 2 friends that had parties kind of back to back. They both were held outside. They have a big bonfire outside, and they provided food and drink, but everybody knows well enough to dress warmly, and you stand around the bonfire. It's kind of fun, actually. We were surrounded by snow-covered trees. It was very pretty. And you might remember that when I first started this podcast a year ago, the reason I had for podcasting was because I wanted to keep up with my Christmas knitting. So we're going to go over what I got finished for Christmas this year real quick, because actually there wasn't really all that much of it. I did the scrappy socks for my daughter and son-in-law and my grandson Russell. What you will notice in this picture is there is an extra pair of socks in there. That's because my daughter is pregnant. Yes, I'm going to have another grandchild. It's due early July. We don't know what the sex is yet, but I threw in an extra little tiny pair of baby socks for that one. I also made these Green Bay socks for my son and daughter-in-law and their 2 children. They really liked them, and they sent this great picture of them all wearing their socks on Christmas Day. I really enjoyed it. One thing they did ask, they requested, and I didn't know they were doing this, but what they've been doing every year is my son is such a huge Green Bay fan that they have been buying Green Bay ornaments, Christmas ornaments, for their tree every year. So they both had the idea at the same time, could I make them a Green Bay Christmas tree ornament? And I said, well, of course I can. I have seen, so what I did was I made this little sweater for their tree. I saw Sarah at Saltbox Knits podcast. She was making these little tiny sweater ornaments, and I had always planned on making them, and when my son and daughter-in-law asked for one, I thought, well, this is perfect. I'm going to try my hand at that. So I did, and I have that one made up for them. I also made them a little, I haven't blocked it yet, but I made them up a little stocking, Green Bay stocking for their tree also. I think they'll really like them. You might also remember that I made these Fruit Loop gloves for my mother-in-law. I made the Foxhall gloves for my father-in-law. I made the Seabree gloves for my niece. And I made these socks for my friend Kamel. I also made each of the grandchildren the little gingerbread men toys, which my daughter said that my grandson Russell really enjoyed taking the hat on and off of his gingerbread toy. So I thought that was really sweet. I might get a suntan out here today. It's so bright and pretty. Yeah, I started making the little sweater ornaments. And thank you, Sarah, for sharing that pattern and talking about it. It is so cute. I have been going crazy making them. I tried one with the Karen yarn, way too big for an ornament, but it was too cute. I went ahead and finished it. And then I did another attempt, and I did a little pink sweater. And then I got a little fancier, and I decided to do one for each of my grandchildren, because I said I was going to make ornaments for their little ornament box this year. So I made a little red and white one. That one is going to be for Perry. I made a little green and white one with trees on it. That one will be for Russell. And then this one with the snowflakes will be for Hayden, for her tree when she grows up. So yes, I have one more to make because I have another grandchild coming. I can't tell you how nice it is to feel the sun today. It really brightens things up, and it makes me feel cheerier. So I've also been working on well, you will believe it, another pair of the Inline for Pumpkin Spice Latte Socks pattern, and I started it with the yarn from the Cozy Knitter that my pen pal Patty sent me. It is, and I will insert a picture because I forgot to bring it out here with me in my bag of little knitted things, but it is the softest yarn. I have one sock finished and another one well on its way to the heel. That yarn is so plush feeling. I really, really am enjoying working with it. Very nice. Thank you, Patty, for sending that. I really love it. I also want to remind everyone that the Knitflix cow, probably by the time I upload this podcast, will have officially begun or will begin very shortly. So hopefully you have made some plans to join in on that make-along. And I went to Whitefish, the town of Whitefish, which is, in this weather, it was about an hour's drive from us. And I went to this cute little local yarn store, which I'll insert a picture of. It was very snowy that day, and they had a lot of snow on the streets of Whitefish. It's a very pretty, kind of touristy little town, very sweet, full of wonderful little shops. But I picked up the yarn for my part of the giveaway, and it is this one. This is from Polka Dot Sheep. It's made in Whitefish, Montana. The base is called Tenderfoot. It's 80% merino, 20% nylon. And the color is called Egg Hunt. And I thought, well, we probably won't be giving away our prizes until the end of the make-along, of course, and that will be March 15th. So we will be pushing Easter by then, and I thought everyone would probably be well ready for some pastel, pretty spring-like colors. And also part of my giveaway will be this bag I bought from them. It's a little see-through bag. It says Knit and Needle Yarn Shop, Whitefish, Montana on it. So yeah, I hope everybody's making plans for the make-along. It's going to be fun. There'll be a prize from me, from Wendy, and from Linda at the Joey Scarf podcast. So there'll be at least 3 prizes given away. And since I am not eligible for any of those prizes, I recently realized I could go ahead and start my project, so I have. I am making the Cleopatra wrap. It's a 2-part wrap. I've already got, there's one section in the house that's finished. It has a lot of lace work on it. So the section in the house, look at this. See that little blue line? I actually put a safety line in because there's a lot of lace work in this. And I have used it too. So thank goodness I actually went ahead and did that. So the one that I have in the house, there's a section on a spare set of needles, and it is knit up to that safety line. And then this one goes on for, oh gosh, it says quite a ways. And I will put the yarn across the bottom of the screen so you'll know what I'm using. It is lace weight yarn. I had to order the book to get the pattern, and I found the book used on Amazon. I think I'm going to really like it. I think it does. I think it is fancy enough to remind me of Cleopatra, and that's what she said it reminded her of as she wrote the pattern. She designed it to look like the designs on some of the columns in Egypt. And I'm hoping that, you know, after it's blocked, I think it'll be really pretty. You do Kitchener it together with the other piece when I have this one done. This one will go on for quite a ways. So if you haven't started anything for the make along, I highly encourage you to do so. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be anything huge. There's lots of pattern ideas in a thread in my Ravelry group, Victoria Knits, so you can check that out for ideas. There's lots of different things you could knit, and I think it'll be a fun make along. So I hope you enter in. Hi. I think the phrase is what a difference a day makes. It was sunny when I was podcasting on Monday. Today is Thursday, and as you can see, it's very snowy and much colder. And so the hat and the cowl are very appropriate for today. First, I thought I would announce the winners of the Totally Tubular hat pattern. And here to help me with that is Russell.
Can you say Aquila?
Thank you, Russell. As I'm sure everyone can tell, the first winner was Aquila. And she said, there are so many great memories from when I was little. The best memory is waiting for Santa to ride by on the fire truck every year. We saw him last night, and I got to introduce this tradition to my daughter this year. My grandmother would always call us and say, Santa is coming. They lived 3 streets away. My husband makes fun of me because I get all giddy and crazy when I hear the sirens in the neighborhood. My grandmother was the glue that held our family together, and I miss her so very much. That's really sweet. So the pattern should be coming to you soon, Aquila. And here's Russell again to announce our second winner.
Can you say Katie?
Katie?
And that is for sure, whose name is Katie. And she said, future memories. This will be the first Christmas that my husband and I are empty nesters. Funny thing is, our 3 adult children will be home for the holiday. That's really nice. That's a good way to start your empty nest years, I think, is to have the kids home for the holidays. So congratulations, Katie and Aquila, and I hope you make a tubular hat. Thank you, everybody, for leaving comments and joining in on that giveaway. I think it's been fun. So I hope you really enjoy it. Thank you, everybody, so much. And thank you, Russell, for helping to announce those winners from Idaho, far away in Idaho. So recently I came across an article about the 1963 movie Cleopatra, starring Elizabeth Taylor, Rex Harrison, and Richard Burton. And that's when I decided to knit something to do with at least Cleopatra. I don't think she wore any knitted items in the movie, but I wanted to knit something that represented her. So, of course, I did some research into the movie. I'd be really curious to know how many of you have seen the 1963 Cleopatra movie. I only saw it very recently. There are very many interesting things about this movie. For instance, Cleopatra was the most expensive film ever made to that point, and it nearly bankrupted 20th Century Fox due to massive cost overruns, production problems, changes of director and cast, changes of filming locations, sets that had to be constructed twice, lack of a film script, and personal scandals. It was also the highest grossing film of 1963, it earned $57 million in the U.S., which is equivalent to $460 million in 2017 dollars. But it cost an unprecedented $44 million to make, which is equivalent to $352 million in 2017 dollars. I purchased this book by the producer of the film. He had a lot of interesting things to say about the movie. His name is Walter Wanger. This book read like a diary, but it really had some interesting little tidbits in it. For instance, at the London location, May 19th, 1960, he writes, "This is an absolute disaster. Hollywood has given us an August 15th starting date, but we don't have enough studio space, we don't have a full cast, we don't have a script, and we don't have a crew of laborers. We need an enormous number of wigs, which are not available, and we don't have the costumes. The only positive note is the news that construction has started on the city of Alexandria at Pinewood Studios, which was a studio near London. The workmen are on overtime. With luck, the set will be ready in November, weeks after we are scheduled to use it." And that was written in May 1960, and filming didn't actually begin on the movie until more than a year later in September, when the shooting location changed to Italy. Just crazy stuff like that. There were constant problems with the weather, which was too rainy in Italy, and with Elizabeth Taylor's health. At one point in London, due to contracting pneumonia, Elizabeth Taylor actually had to have a tracheotomy. She was plagued with colds and back pain. Also, Elizabeth Taylor designed and applied her makeup for the movie, at one point injuring her eye during the process. You will notice in one of the upcoming pictures the kind of sequins she uses on her eyelids. She also injured her hand during a violent scene of the film when she is slashing Mark Antony's clothes and bedding when she found out he had married another woman in Rome. Also, the director, Joseph Mankiewicz, didn't only direct the movie, but he was also writing the script as the movie was being filmed, which is just insane to me. I can't believe they even managed to pull off that movie. Here's another interesting, something I thought was really interesting from Walter Wagner's book. April 17th, 1962. Shooting delayed during the morning for 1 hour because of cats under the stage. Italian workmen hurriedly tore the set apart to discover the source of loud mewings. They found a cat and 5-day-old kittens tucked cozily up against the framework just out of reach. The mother cat was finally lured out with liver bits, but the blind kittens remained howling under the set. It took another half hour to get them. At our normal hourly cost, the cat and her 5 kittens added $17,000 to the already straining Cleopatra budget. An earlier scene between Cleopatra and Mark Antony was held up 45 minutes while the entire crew chased a cat up a wall. The cat disappeared, only to be replaced by 2 low-flying bats, who put on a spectacular aerial display. Tally, $12,000 for cats, $5,000 for acrobatics. I can imagine it was not very funny at the time. He had to have been pulling his hair out during that film. Just crazy. All right, for a little bit, we are going to move somewhere slightly warmer. I wish I could say it was Egypt, but it's more of a fake Rome. I wish I had a green screen like the SSK Yarners did on their podcast. Hi, Karen. That would be really sweet. I do not have one of those. All I have is a computer, so you'll have to bear with me as I mess around a little bit and seem to entertain myself. I hope you're entertained too. Hi. I thought I would try a little magic to get us into Egypt, or at least onto the set of the Cleopatra movie, even though we're not really there, obviously. So during the film, Elizabeth Taylor made 65 costume changes, earning her a Guinness World Record, which was broken in 1996 by Madonna in the movie Evita, when she made 85 changes. Let's take a look at some of those outfits she wore. They were fantastic. The costume budget for Elizabeth Taylor in the movie was $194,000. That would translate to over $1 million in today's money. Beautiful, beautiful. There were 26,000 costumes required for the entire movie. The director wanted the movie to be cut in two and be two different movies, each 3 hours long. His cut was 6 hours, but the studio thought that was too big a risk, so they forced him to cut it down to a 4-hour movie, and that becomes very obvious as you watch the movie during the editing. There is one scene where Elizabeth Taylor's clothes change like 3 times within a couple of sentences, and Mark Anthony's changes at least once within a sentence or so. We probably all remember the affair which began between Taylor and Burton during the film. They were both married to other people at the time, and their affair created quite a stir, even being discussed by congressmen back in the United States. Here they are, being antagonistic towards each other, but they are on the verge of their first intimate encounter. And I could have been describing the characters of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, or I could have been describing Liz and Richard. The electricity between them came through in the film, and that is a lot of what made this film so very popular. Take a look at this cape of Taylor's. It was designed to look like the wings of a phoenix. It was made from thin strips of gold leather and embellished with thousands of seed beads, bugle beads, and sequins. The cape sold at auction in 2012 for $59,000. I think it's important to remember that there were no computer-generated effects in this movie. The only liberty taken was painting scenery on glass over the camera lens in order to extend the scenery while a small amount of filming was being done in London. All the sets had to be constructed by hand to actual size. I've included a link below to a 10-minute clip of Cleopatra's first entrance into Rome. At this point, she is accompanied by her young son, by Caesar, and she has yet to cozy up to Mark Antony because Caesar is her focus. This is one of the best scenes in the movie as far as I'm concerned. Be sure to watch for the wink at the end. So one of my subscribers and my most devoted followers is my niece Eva. Hi Eva. My niece Eva does not knit. She does not crochet. I don't think she sews. She's not interested in that stuff, but she does follow my podcast very regularly. She gives me a lot of support. She tells me a lot of really nice things about my podcast. I really appreciate you watching, Eva. And something I noticed and pointed out to her was during my last podcast, I did not have a Christmas sweater to wear during my Christmas podcast, which I was really amazed by. So this is for you, Eva. I have begun a Christmas sweater for myself. It's not much of a start, but I figure I have a year to work on it, right? I am basing it roughly off of the Flax sweater by Tin Can Knits. That is also a worsted weight sweater. I am going to start mine out with this nice little candy cane looking kind of cowl on the neck to keep me warm. That's my idea. And this sweater starts from the top down. So as I go down, as I knit down, I'm going to add Christmas patterns into my sweater. So it's going to take a while. There's going to be a lot of color work, I hope. I hope the whole thing works out. I just got diverted by some bird flying overhead, and it looked like a hawk. Anyway, so I'm pretty excited to start this sweater. I couldn't believe I don't have a Christmas sweater. I know I could have just gone to the secondhand store and bought about 5, but you know, I really needed one that I had knit myself. So I think this will be fun. And I just wanted to remind everybody that if you feel like giving this podcast a thumbs up, or if you haven't subscribed and you feel like it, that would be great. Thank you for coming back to see my video, my podcast. If you're a returning viewer, I so much appreciate it. If you're a new viewer, hang in there. There might be something you like. If there isn't, like I've always said, there are tons and tons of great knitting podcasts out there. So please be sure to find something you do like. Also on Instagram, sometimes I will do a hashtag town day because Kim and I don't go to town all that often. We try to go to town just twice a month, especially in the wintertime when the roads can get pretty bad. We have kind of worked it out, so we're just going into town every 2 weeks. And so it can get to be kind of a major event when we go to town. It's time to do our grocery shopping, pick up a Papa Murphy's pizza to bring home, get gas in the car or the truck, pick up anything, chicken food, whatever we need. We have a huge list, and it usually is about a 4 to 5 hour time period when we're driving and shopping. We have a lot of stops to make. If I'm going to go to a yarn store, I'll try to do it then. So there's a lot of planning involved, and so town day can get to be a pretty big deal. I thought it might be interesting for everybody to see what that looks like. So here's what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to start into town, but I'm going to speed this up quite a bit and actually cut some of it. And now you can see here we come up upon the town of Kalispell, our destination. And now we've just picked up our pizza to take home, and we are headed into downtown Kalispell. Oh, hit some traffic. And say goodbye to downtown. That was it. Take a right here if you want to go to Glacier National Park. But we are headed out towards Whitefish and to the big box stores. And that's about it. We're out of downtown Kalispell. We are coming up on the big box stores such as Costco, Walmart, and all that stuff. And this is about as bad as traffic gets in the town of Kalispell. I hope you enjoyed riding along with us. Another reminder, the show notes will be in the Dropbox below the YouTube video and also in my Ravelry group, Victoria Knits. So if you are looking for a link to a pattern or anything like that that you would like to find, that's where that will be. Also, if you feel like joining in on the Knitflix make-along with us, don't be shy. Come in there. Just a little hint. There will be some smaller prizes in the chatter groups. So maybe that'll entice some more people to come in. And as usual, goodbye from Montana. I played it smart this time and wore my snowshoes out to the field. Because when you don't, what happens is you sink down about to your knees in the snow. Here's some early morning deer walking through the backyard. And deer through my knitting room window. This mom is hanging out while her young one checks out to see what kind of buffet we might have in our compost bin. And some deer seen on one of our walks. And our cat Jessie thinks he's some kind of a winter cat. This is how quiet it is outside right now. It's 8:30 in the morning.